Hello, and thank you for joining us for this Introducing Teaching Books webinar with focus on elementary educators. I'm Crystal Ballard. I'm an implementation and training specialist, and I can't wait to show you some of the wonderful resources on Teaching Books. Just a little background about Teaching Books for those of you who are new to it. Teaching Books is provided through Discus for all of South Carolina. So you all have access to it already. Our mission is to equitably give all readers insights and opportunities that deepen their understanding and joy of the books they are reading. You can see here, this is just one example of what we do, but we are interviewing Denise Fleming in her workspace and as she creates her craft or her illustrations, which is what she's doing here. And some more history of teaching books. What we have here, we have games, activities and lessons, book readings, book trailers, author interviews. So we have resources for the books you're using. And like I said, today we're going to be focusing specifically on elementary resources. We always get asked where the books are because we have the resources. So where's the books to go along with that? And we are partnered with Sora. So Sora is an ebook platform. So now we have the ability to have the book and the resources. There are even Sora collections on teaching books that you can explore. And if you want to learn more about Sora, here's a QR code if you're interested in learning more. So let's dive into what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about creating an educator login, discovering and sharing book and author resources, creating and analyzing lists, as well as exploring and implementing. So let's go ahead and go over to the Teaching Books homepage. And this is what the homepage on Teaching Books looks like. You'll see that you'll be welcomed here, maybe by district name. Right now, I'm signed in as South Carolina or Discus, so you'll see that. And then once we create your login, you'll see your name up here. What I want to start with is just by showing you one of the resources on Teaching Books, and then we'll dive into even more. As you can see, as I start searching, it will search for books, authors, lists, and subjects, and I'm going to select Honeybee, The Busy Life of Apis mellifera. And once I select that, you'll see what a book page on Teaching Books looks like with title, author, and illustrator information, a summary of resources, and then some featured resources. The resource that I just want to start with is what we call on Teaching Books a Meet the Author recording. And I love these Meet the Author recordings because to me, they're like a book talk, just a way better book talk than I could ever do because the author book talks their book.
Hi, I'm Candace Fleming, and I'm the author of Honeybee, The Busy Life of Apis mellifera. I spent months and months learning about honeybees. I talked to scientists and I hung out with beekeepers, and I discovered some amazing things about honeybees, like honeybees have a sense of smell that is so acute that scientists have trained them to sniff out bombs and dead bodies. Or like as many as 60,000 honeybees live in a single colony, and they're all girls. Or like, in her lifetime, a worker honeybee will visit 30,000 flowers, collecting enough nectar to make, are you ready for this, 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. Amazing, right?
That's just a little bit of it, but I love listening directly from these authors. So when we're thinking about our readers and thinking about creating a deeper connection for them, what a great way to do this. They get to hear the author's voice, they get to see a picture of them, but then they get to hear the background, the inspiration. And then for these nonfiction titles, they even get to hear about maybe facts that they discovered along the way that were surprising. Like she said, bees can sniff out bombs and dead bodies, or they collect enough nectar. They visit 30,000 flowers and collect enough nectar for 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. How fun is it to add in the math side of things and show measuring and show how tiny 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey is? So there's so many ways to make these connections and really get your readers not just connected, but excited and more interested about the books you might be featuring or reading. With Teaching Books resources, they can be freely shared. You'll see a red arrow under any cover image. And when you select the red arrow, it will take you to our sharing options. On our sharing options, what you'll first see is that you can share with full site exploration or this resource only. When you share with full site exploration, like you copy this link and you share it, Your readers will be taken straight to this page. They do not have to log in and they can listen to the resource. If you share and select this resource only, I'm just going to show you the difference really quick. I do think this is helpful for some of our youngest readers because it's a more focused sharing option. So if you have them maybe at a center and they're listening to this and then doing something else, this helps them more easily go from one thing to the next because the option to continue exploring is taken away. You can see the menu options across the top are taken away. Whatever works for your lesson is perfect, but you do have both options. So there's full site or this resource only. Just a reminder, when you do share, your readers will have direct access with no login required. So there's a link and then there's printable options as well. We have bookmarks, flyers, label sheets, self-talkers. So let me show you what these look like. This is an example of what the shelf talkers looks like. When you select the shelf talker option, it will bring up a page that's ready to be printed that you can hang over the edge of the book. And you'll see there's a QR code that will go directly to that resource. So if you wanted to feature some titles, you have the ability to do that very easily with these shelf talkers. I always think that this could even be done as a station in any learning space, like have some of those shelf talkers set up. Maybe you have a device at that station where they can scan and listen to the authors talk about and illustrators talk about their books. This is a whole welcome back display. You can see all of the shelf talkers on the edge of the shelves here too. This is what the bookmarks will look like printed. So if you select the bookmark option, this is what they will look like. And then the last printable option was the label sheets. And the label sheets print 10 labels that look like this. Love this idea because you could print this if you have a class set or multiple copies of a title. You could do this and these labels will live in the book. So whoever accesses the book would have direct access with no login required. And just a reminder to get to those sharing options, there's the red arrow and you select it here and it takes you to our sharing tools. When you share, whoever you share with will have direct access, no login required. So let's go on and explore some more. This is just one resource, but let's dive in to some more resources. Let's go ahead and type in phonics. We have added a whole new phonics and phonological awareness section. And if you type in phonics and I'm not selecting enter so you can see my results this way. And I'm looking for this phonics and phonological awareness section here. When I select this brings up over 1,500 titles, and all of these titles have been tagged by repeated sound, like long vowel, short vowel, blends, digraphs. Another way to see this is if you're thinking phonics, you can type that in, or if you're just thinking like early literacy or early childhood, you can always type that in too in the search bar. And under featured, you'd want to go to the early childhood page here. What this does is it brings you to a page that has collections of titles, early literacy, beginning readers, concept books. I love this because under concept books, they're actually tagged by concept. So if you are looking to support either a colleague or if you are working on alphabet or color or number, you could come here and look for title ideas. And then you also know that because these are here, they'll have resources that go along as well. Below that, we're going to go straight to what we had searched before, which is phonics and phonological awareness. Now, like I said, these titles have been tagged by repeated sound. So it might be long vowels, short vowels, blends, digraphs. We even do have alliteration and rhyming. But let me show you what that looks like. Let's go ahead and select short E. And what you're going to be taken to is a collection of 130 titles that have been tagged by that repeated sound of short E, which makes the S sound. So you could click on any of these titles and you'd know that that was the repeated sound. So when you're thinking about instruction that is done in a classroom, we do explicit instruction with decodable text. So we're really focusing on that sound, focusing on decoding it. But what are we doing to support and reinforce that maybe later in the day or shortly afterward? Here's a great way for you to support that explicit instruction, and that's by using rich literature picture books where you can also incorporate that comprehension, but where your readers still continue to hear that repeated short E sound. So if we open up Fry Bread, you're going to be taken to what a book page on Teaching Books looks like. This is going to look very similar to the page we opened for Honeybee. You'll have title, author information, a summary of resources. You can see here that there is even one of those Meet the Illustrator recordings. Now, before we listen to Meet the Author recording, so let's listen to just a little bit of this because this time we get a little bit of a different perspective because now we're listening to the illustrator.
Hi, this is Juana Martinez Neal, and I am the illustrator of Fry Bread, a Native American family story. The reason why I felt so compelled to work on Fry Bread was that in some way I felt like it related to Peru and the Native people of Peru also, and I just had to do it. My goal was to make a book that was authentic and that truly portrayed the Seminole people because Kevin is Seminole.
I'm going to pause it there. Again, this could be a great introduction. You have a picture of the illustrator there. Let's go back to this page. So we have title and the author information. We have some featured resources. You'll notice that there's more than just this Meet the Illustrator recording that's features. There's an audio excerpt, book trailer, name pronunciations. So you have the ability to play any of these to help your readers connect deeper to these titles. And remember, as you're reading this, you also can have them listening for that repeated short E sound and listening and finding that short E sound throughout the book. As we could scroll down, you're going to see more resources. You're going to see that there are original resources by authors. You're going to see author interviews. And then here are book guides, activities, and lessons. Great place to go if you're looking for read aloud or lesson extensions and just ideas and activities, discussion ideas for any title. As you scroll down, any of these that are highlighted in red are ones that are created on Teaching Books. And then we are lucky enough to have a team of professional librarians that will go and vet sites to find even more resources. So you can see all the different resources here. There's activity sheets. And we also have, I scrolled down a little too far, phonics and phonological awareness printables. Now, any of these titles that you go into, if you go in through the phonics section, they will have this card that's titled Phonics and Phonological Awareness Printables. When you open this, it's going to take us back to that page where we found the book we selected short E before. Right below that is the printables. We know that Fry Bread was a short ebook, so if we select it, it will take you to a page again for some ideas for extending a lesson or just reinforcing that sound even further. You have at your fingertips 4 printables that also support and reinforce the acquisition and learning of that long E sound. And if we go back to Fry Bread, we found those, remember, under book guides, activities, and lessons. Another thing I wanted to show you is we even on this one, uh, there's a digital book kit. We have digital book kits and we have storytime activity kits. These are something that I would highly recommend looking at. I will show you how to search for them or search for titles that have them, but it's a great opportunity to really extend like a lesson or a read aloud. We give ideas for teaching books resources to use to introduce the title. And then we give ideas for discussion, activity, even books that might go along with it. So it gives you some ideas of further activities and ideas with your read aloud or maybe the unit you're working on. And you'll see here there's even more discussion guides as you go down. Several of these will also have activity sheets either from the publisher. This one's from Spoons Across America, but you can see this one has some activity ideas. And then even, some games that looks like here's a word search, bread, and even another game page too. So you have access to these. They're ready to go. You could decide which pages you would want to print. Another way to search for these phonics and phonological awareness titles is by going to browse. And if you go to browse and then see all collections, you'll notice over on the left side, there is phonics and phonological awareness. So you could select any of these sounds depending on what's being worked on or what you want to support and reinforce. Like if you wanted to do TH, you would be taken to the TH collection. So you know all of these sounds have that TH sound repeated, and you could scroll down and see if there is a title you have access to that you would want to use to support and reinforce that TH sound. So I did tell you I was going to show you how to search for storytime activity kits. If you just type in story or activity, you'll be taken under featured to storytime activity kits. Remember, these are the kits that go along with the read aloud that will have maybe a game, a drawing or writing activity. All of these titles have those attached. So you can see there's several listed here. And if we click into any, let's click into Shark Lady just to show you the differences of them. And they will always show up under Book Guides, Activities, and Lessons. But if you scroll down to Book Guides, Activities, and Lessons on any page, you'll see the Storytime Activity Kit. Now you do have that free access to sharing. So anybody who you share with will have direct access without logging in. But you also could print these if they're like the writing and drawing activities. But for Shark Lady, you'll see there's a mix and match game included, a drawing activity, even a snack activity, and then a dice game. And I love the idea of bringing the dice in because again, then we're incorporating another curricular area because then we're bringing in math too. And those are found, any Storytime activity kit is found on a book page under Book Guides, Activities, and Lessons. And you'll see the activity kit here. Now, one thing I also wanted to show before we dive into creating lists, another thing you can do is create your own lists on Teaching Books. But before we dive into that, I want to make sure you know how to log in correctly to your Teaching Books account. And you can go into Teaching Books through the Discus site, or if you go to teachingbooks.net, let me sign out one so you can see what it looks like. Depending on where you're at, you will either see welcome South Carolina resident here and here, or maybe your district name. If you're in district, it should recognize your IP address, and that's why it will say your district name. But if you're at home, it would say welcome South Carolina resident. Either way is fine. That means you will have access to all the resources, but you're not logged in as an educator, so you can't save and customize lists and lessons. We give students access to all the resources, but we don't collect any student information so they can't save or customize anything. So if you want to be able to save and customize lessons and lists on Teaching Books, what you're going to do is go to the three-line toggle menu and then go to Educator Login. And you have some different options for login. You can first input your work email here and then select sign in, and it will take you to a quick registration page if you've never signed into Teaching Books before. Or you can see the single sign-on options down here too. If you are set up in Clever or ClassLink, that will work. If not, if you have access to it, and can send us in touch with your tech person, then we could work on getting that set up. If you are a Google district, you can sign in with Google. But once you do sign in with your educator login, let me show you what it does. It will say welcome and your name in this upper left corner. So I said we were going to talk about creating a list. And the type of list I want to create is I want to create a list that has complete book readings. Maybe I'm thinking of, the author, like a video reading. We do have those on Teaching Books. Remember, I said we are partnered with Sora and they're the ebook platform. We're lucky enough to have a collection of complete book readings thanks to our partnership with publishers. So if you type in complete, in the search bar, under the featured section, you're going to see the complete book readings collection. And if I select that, you're going to see over 3,300 titles that have complete book readings. Now, when I say complete book readings, it might be the complete audio or video version of the book. So if we click into any of these, let's do The Day You Begin. And let me show you where you find them. Remember, here's the book page. The complete reading is going to be found under the accordions under book readings. Now, we have a lot of excerpts too. The excerpts are not going to be complete, but if it is a complete reading, it will say complete in the link. And I love this one because the author is actually doing the reading. So let's just listen to a little bit of this.
Hi, it's Marley Dias. Welcome to Bookmarks, celebrating Black voices. The Day You Begin reminds us that we are each unique, and sometimes we may feel different than those around us, but it's okay. The Day You Begin will be read by its award-winning author, Jacqueline Woodson, and it's illustrated by Rafael Lopez.
Hey, I'm Jacqueline Woodson, and I'm so excited to be reading to you from my book, The Day You Begin. As we go through the book, I want you to notice the rulers. They are everywhere, and there's a reason for them that we'll talk about afterwards. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you.
I'm going to pause it there. First of all, I love that the author's reading this because your readers can already connect on a whole different level with that title. They can hear the intended voice for the characters, but they also are connecting to the person who wrote it, which is something that is so good for them to be able to do. Secondly, I love how she sets them up and says, pay attention to the rulers. Like they're there for a reason. We're going to talk about that at the end. So I love that they have that in the back of their minds. Keep in mind, these complete book readings can also be freely shared and there's no copyright infringement. So if you use your share arrow, maybe you print bookmarks, have them at the checkout desk or as an exit slip in a classroom. And your readers can take these home. They can scan this code or go to this link and they'll be able to listen to that complete and view that complete reading. If they had the paper copy of the book, they could even follow along. So you have some different options for how you use these complete readings. So maybe you want to create a list of some of the complete readings that you know you have a physical copy to, because then you can put the bookmark in. And like I said, your readers can follow along. Maybe at home they don't have somebody to read with, so the author can read to them. So let's go back to that collection of complete book readings. You type in complete here and you go to the complete book readings collection over here. And maybe you have these first 5 titles. These are the ones you're going to feature and you're going to have those complete readings shared with those bookmarks. Anytime you want to create a list, there's a plus sign. We're going to add multiple titles because we're going to add these first 5. We know that all of these have complete readings because that's how I searched. I'm going to say add selected titles to list. I'm going to create a new list titled complete book readings. And maybe it's just for November. I do a different list each month. I say add to list, and now I can view my list. And if I view it, you're going to see those 5 titles. If I click into any of these titles and scroll down to book readings, I know there's going to be a complete reading. And remember what I said is you could feature these, share these complete readings, have a bookmark out ready to go. And then if you have the paper copy of the book, your readers could have the paper copy with the bookmark and they could follow along as the author's reading. What a great list to have and feature. Now you can only create that list and save it if you're logged in as an educator. That's why we went over logging in as an educator. To find the list, you go to the 3-line toggle menu and then go to your reading list. You'll see South Carolina lists, and then you're going to see complete readings, your list that you've created here. . And we have 4 minutes, so there's one last section that I encourage you to explore. I'm only going to show you one part of it. Under for educators, there is a lot of resources and information on this page, but we're only going to look at teaching ideas. Teaching ideas is a great place to visit if you're looking for jumping off points, something, activities to do during transition. The first thing we have here is timely topics. And this is actually a newsletter we send out. We send this out in the middle of the month to give ideas of how to use teaching books resources to support and honor themes for the upcoming month. So you can see what's listed here. If we click on any of these, like Native American Heritage Month, you'll see a whole bunch of lists to get ideas for titles to use. But then we even give ideas for specific titles to use and then teaching books resources to go along with them. So, a great idea if you're looking for ideas for how to celebrate and honor themes for the upcoming month. Come visit here. It's the Timely Topics section. Like I said, it's a newsletter that comes out once a month, and you can find ideas here. We also have early childhood instructional support. This will do the same thing. It gives an idea for a title and then a resource on teaching books to use with that, as well as an activity to go along. There's also ready to use ideas in this section. So if you are looking for something, like I said, as a bell ringer or for transition time, we do have, let's see, we do have, let's go to insight from authors. And what you'll see is their page is ready to go. So if we do authors inspire us and select 1-5, this is a great activity to do like as students are coming in the door. Or if you're a librarian and you've done checkout and you want something for them to do after, you could do that. You could have these at tables. They can scan the code or go to the link and then they have a mix and match here. What a great way, first of all, to connect with authors, connect with new titles, and then really reflect on what they're listening. And this is all under teaching ideas, which was under for educators, or you can find it by just typing in teaching. And it's under teaching ideas here. You have your timely topics, that newsletter once a month, early childhood, and then those ready to use ideas. Now, there's a lot on here, so I encourage you to explore those. I had a great question in the chat. Can college students who are educators create an educator login? Absolutely, they can. I believe we have most colleges and universities add to the back. If it's not, then they can reach out to us and we can work on getting them set up with it with an educator account so they have access to all this too. Great question because it will really help with their planning. Okay, it is 10:29. Last thing I'm going to show you, help section. If there's anything that you forgot that I did today, there's video tutorials here. We also do have other scheduled trainings if you want to come join us. If you select the training tab, there are scheduled webinars. We have something called a webinar spotlight. It's only 20 minutes and you can watch it at your leisure because these are recorded. So feel free to join us in any of those webinar spotlight webinars. I can even put this in the chat, the link to this. And also here under help, you can always contact us if there's more questions. I will put my email cballard@overdrive.com in the chat too if you have questions about anything I did today. And for now, I am going to stop the recording.